Komori is still pissed about Yojimbo. Episode 14. She's been waiting here for a while for Yojimbo to show back up on stage again, but it seems like he isn't coming back today. Probably best to go back to our main quest. I suppose we got kind of sidetracked here, messing around in the gold saucer, while there was some important work to be done. Let's just say that the pirates or whoever we were waiting for to show up at Sestasha weren't showing up for a while, and we just got a call on our link pearl saying that there's some activity, so we'll go check in on that. You'll hear about Commodore Raynor's investigation, then you'll want to board a ferry bound for Airport. Once you arrive in Western Lenosia, though, you'd best pay a visit to the Hall of the Novice before you blunder into Sestasha. The Adventurers Guild runs the hall, and the folk there will prepare you, train you with the skills you'll need to face the dangers undoubtedly waiting for you in the Sequot. The hall is on the way to Sestasha, just north of Airport. Head inside and one of their seasoned adventurers will take you in hand. Best of luck to you, friend. I see. I had forgotten they guide you into the Hall of the Novice naturally with this quest. It might have been a better idea to naturally go into the Hall of the Novice through this, but we already did it, so there's no worry there. I'm not sure how much there is to say about Ailport. It's just a port town, close to La Nocia. Or, close to Limsa rather. I can't say how it's any different from the ports in Limsa other than being tied to the actual land mass of La Nocia itself. In the interest of absorbing more information about this game than we previously did in my first playthrough. I guess I'll talk to an NPC to learn a little bit more about this town. Bloody hell's me throat's parched. I can't wait till me shift's over so I can draw myself an ale. Aye, that in a buxom bar wench to dandle on me lap. That wasn't the right NPC to talk to. Almost infallibly, there's at least one NPC near the Aetherite that will tell you about the town you're standing in. Let's try Diamanda. I'm a blacksmith with Naldic and Vimelis, come to assist in the Pharaoh's Sirius restoration effort. Ever since I was a wee girl, it's been my dream to work with Master Mimidoa, who is mentor to both my father and brother. My skills may be raw, but I've devoted myself tirelessly to my training. I cannot let them down. Wrong NPC again, but she did mention Pharaoh Sirius, I believe that building over there. More on that later, if we get around to the optional quest. We may give up on learning the lore of Aleport if we don't find the NPC within the next few tries. We'll try Fupepe. Ain't but one thing you need to succeed in life, and that's gumption. Had not a guilty me name when I started searching for shells to sell. But look at me now, got me own proper business, and I ain't had to gather shells myself in years. Alright, not the right one. We'll give it one more try. I would expect it to be a named NPC that gives you the lore of the area you're in. But I could be wrong. Let's try the Hunter Scholar. Company, I could use a friendly face around here. Well, a face at any rate. Your adventurers aren't exactly known for your good looks, but I'll wager a Yalm of Ale you're bold enough to hunt an elite mark. Well, this tells us nothing about Aleport. I suppose we'll give up on finding lore. Oh, there it is right there. The physical location of the Hall of the Novice that we were doing our tutorials in. Or at least I believe this somehow physically connects to that arena we were in. Looking at these well-equipped individuals, I almost forgot to equip my new gear. This is better than our old staff, and the shield will provide us some defensive stats, but I can't imagine Komori as wielding a shield. Not with her aggressive attitude that I imagine. It shouldn't really be any problem if we unequip it, so I think I'll just mess around with this for now. Same thing with the hat. If we find a better hat, then I suppose we can wear it. You must be the brave adventurer of whom the Yellow Jackets sent word. I hear you are to brave the depths of Sestasha Seagrot. The occupants of those caves are rumored to be as numerous as they are bloodthirsty. No matter what the epic tales would have you believe, strolling into such a den of savagery alone would be the height of foolishness. No, you shall need companions. and you shall need the training we here at the Hall of the Novice can provide. I strongly suggest that you study the fundamentals of group combat before continuing on your mission. The smith over here oversees the training schedules. Speak with him and you can register for exercises tailored to your particular field of expertise. When you have mastered all that our masters have to teach, then it will be time to head north once more. Report to the Yellow Jacket Scout at the mouth of Stasha Seagrot, and he will furnish you with the details of your duty. I actually wonder about this. I don't know if this was always a requirement in the earlier versions of the game. It may have been that you weren't required to go through all the training, or that this training didn't even exist in the earliest iterations of 2.0. If this was an addition they added later, I think it's a good one, because as you may have picked up on, this would be the first multiplayer dungeon we're about to enter. Hence all of the urgency for understanding how to work with a team in these tutorials. Interesting. These are some names I recognize, so let's take a moment to actually talk to them. Even more names than I had thought. This is the exact sort of thing that I wanted to find while re-experiencing the game. Names I recognized, but didn't really understand where they began from. Grandfather and I are companions on the road. We travel where the wind takes us, and drink in all the wonders this world has to offer. Only an adventurer can understand the joy of such freedom, of discovering hidden places and experiencing sights and sounds that few may ever know. The passing years have begun to take their toll on the old man, but no force save death itself will sate his appetite for adventure. Ah, a fellow adventurer. You two are here to unravel the mysteries of Stasha? I have adventured across this wide realm for more seasons than I dare to count. Yet still Eorzea manages to surprise me with her beauty and splendor. Our journeys are not ended by the attainment of riches or fame. It is an unquenchable thirst for the unknown that drives us into the wilds time and again. Even if I explored the world for 1,000 years, I would never grow weary of this life. That's a fine sentiment, I think. Even after experiencing several thousand hours of this world myself, I'm glad I can still find things like this in another playthrough. This is perfect for our inaugural outing as a party. Wandering around in the caves, turning over a few rocks. How difficult could it possibly be? I never expected our first visit to the Adventurers Guild would yield such a straightforward way to win fame and fortune. Bahaha. Edda, you're so slow. You'd lose a foot race to a tree slug. What took you so long, Edda? So bloody long, Edda. If me purse was too light, you might have considered using some of your own bleeding coin to get us what we need. You've only ever been as useful as the contents of your pockets. The gods know you can barely eel a scratch. We took up the venture in life to take on the big jobs and claim the big rewards. How are we meant to do that if you can't even get our supplies in order? Him? Oh, It's her. The one Badron was talking to. Well, well. Oh, well, we'll see who gets the glory. This job should have been ours in the first place. I'm sorry, Avir. I came as fast as I could. I tried haggling with the merchant, but 2 potions was the best I could get with the money you gave me. I had no idea how expensive they were. Please tell me you're here to take on Yellow Jacket duty and not some daft sawed-off for a stroll. I can't take any more of this blasted waiting. You are? Thank the gods. I assume you already know about the ship seen slipping around the Isles of Umbra. We've been on the lookout for pirate activity ever since that vessel was sighted, thinking a crew of cutthroats might have a den nearby. So when we received word that men of questionable quality had been seen passing in and out of Sestasha here, we weren't entirely surprised. I've yet to see them for myself, but if this lot belongs to those fishback-fancying serpent reavers, well, you can imagine the panic it'll cause. The kidnappings are still fresh in people's minds. Anyway, your task is to poke around in the caves and find out exactly who we're dealing with. While you do that, I'll be keeping watch out here, praying you don't spot any blue face tattoos. And we've unlocked our first duty dungeon. This is new. I think I'll actually take a moment to read this. Duty calls, a dungeon beckons. Enlist the aid of allied players and NPCs alike to slay monsters, solve mysteries, and defeat the mighty boss lurking in the depths. Conquering dungeons is not only a time-honored tradition of adventurers, but it also progresses the main scenario, and tests your prowess at a given class or job in a timed environment. Intimidated? Fear not, dear adventurer, for with a little guidance you too shall be clearing dungeons with confidence in no time. 2 ways to adventure, and this is a new feature. You may challenge a dungeon via 2 different methods, by calling upon the support of trusty NPCs, or by pooling your talent with other players, be they best friend or first acquaintance. No matter how you form your party, the trials that await you will be comparable in difficulty and experience. What's notable about this is that many of the dungeons earlier on in the expansions released several years ago were required to be done in multiplayer, and there are several other multiplayer content that is still required to progress the main quest that you can only do with other players, not NPCs. For a certain amount of time, the Final Fantasy team put some effort into making the older content clearable in solo with a team of NPCs. It was a feature that was present in later expansions with the main party that you would collect later on, but something that was notably lacking from A Realm Reborn and other expansions. I believe as it stands now, maybe all of the dungeon content can be cleared with NPCs. Perhaps not everything, but I think everything in the main scenario up to the most recent expansion is now NPC ready. Having said that, I'm not sure if I will necessarily be partying up with NPCs at this point. Probably just because it'll be more interesting to play with other human players for now. At a later point in time when the NPCs we party up with may be more story-related, it's probably a good idea to run the first dungeon with them, or do the first run of a given dungeon with those NPCs. There will be times when those characters have certain dialogue that'll be interesting to see while playing those dungeons, but that's something far off in the future. Summarize the rest of this. Duty support allows you to matchmake with other players, or with NPCs now. Duty Finder, same thing as duty support. I'm actually not sure what the difference is. I see. Duty support was the NPCs and Duty Finder was matchmaking. Open duty support to play through dungeons you've cleared, or use Duty Finder to do the same with dungeons not yet supported by the NPC party system. So there were several that weren't yet supported. And they put a requirement that you have to understand what you're reading here. It's probably just to prime any players for multiplayer content so that they engage with other players in a more sociable manner. The party of NPCs that you're given here are they those characters right over there? No, these are different people. I guess the Lalafell looks kind of similar, but the rest of them are different. Maybe the characters, the nameless NPCs that go in the dungeon with you, have their own thing going on. Who knows? Maybe it might be interesting to actually play with these NPCs. I'm debating whether I should do matchmaking or play with these NPCs, but ultimately I think I'll go with matchmaking. Maybe at another time I'll go back and see if these NPCs have anything interesting to say while going through the dungeon, and I'll use that information for later decisions on whether or not I want to matchmake with the NPCs for our Realm Reborn dungeons. But for now, we'll see if any players are online. Our wait time will be 6 minutes, so I figure I'll stop recording here and pick back up when we're ready to enter. Let's see how well we fare in our first dungeon. Hopefully they don't mind that we're watching the cutscenes. The game starts getting a little bit more interesting here, gameplay-wise, but these early dungeons aren't mechanically anything to write home about. Limit Break does a lot of damage or defends you or heals. Being in a party, I'm not sure what there is to say about that. I don't recall what these coral have to do with the dungeon. There might have been some note earlier on that tells you what those do. It seems like this guy knows what he's doing, though. And that would have been the first of 3 mini-bosses. As a rule, dungeons contain 3 mini-bosses, or 3 bosses, 2 of them being mini-bosses and 1 being the final boss. Actually, that might have not been the first mini-boss. Maybe this was. Or could this be the second? For the experience boost, I should have eaten before the dungeon began. I believe those side locations contained extra gear that you could pick up, but nobody doing this duty wants to spend more time than they have to in it. You sully our spawning grounds, Shorewalker. There are mechanics to this fight, but I believe everyone here is going to ignore them, since DPSing down the boss will be faster. I believe you're supposed to stop those bubbles from spawning in more enemies. But as you can see, the boss is nearly dead already. Commendations commend other players. It's good practice to give them out. Give them out to whoever has the best adventurer portrait, that is. Or the only player left. No difference. Ah, we have to speak to Baterin. Rather unceremonious end to the first dungeon, but a lot of the earlier dungeons will be like that. Few blue quests we might want to pick up here. Aye, such a task was on the books. Was, mind. I'm afraid that ship has already sailed, friend. Ah, might you be the adventurer who accepted the job of investigating Sastasha? It would seem that the ship has not only sailed, but now returns to harbor, none the worse for its voyage. A pity. We dragged our boots too long on this one. No matter. The wheel will turn and our chance will come. You are right, of course. But there shall be no rest till we have attained our goal, lofty though it may be. Not a wink of sleep, great leader. Our aim, lest you wonder, is to perform such feats of heroism as will earn us a place in the songs of every alehouse in Eorzea. We mean to write a legend which will inspire adventurers, as yet unborn, to follow our shining example. Do you have such a goal? Large or small, it matters not. Only have a star to reach for, and you will reach higher. Purpose can sustain you through times of hardship. Keep your eye on the prize, and all obstacles will be overcome in time. You would not think to stride into battle unclad, would you? Well, goals are as arms and armor for the spirit. I wish you fortune in your endeavors, milady. Back then, are you? With all your limbs and a tale to tell, I wager. fishbacks. And there I was, thinking you'd only have to crack a pirate skull or 3. 7 hells. You turned your back for 5 bloody minutes, and the scaly bastards have set up shop in your bleeding doorstep. Still, sounds like you left them in pieces, so I don't suppose they'll be carrying out whatever mischief they was planning. Unless they was planning on feeding themselves to the fauna of Sestasha, of course. Any road all's well that ends well. On behalf of Limsa, I thank you for shedding some light on this mystery. You've lived up to your reputation, and I couldn't ask for more than that. Now, I bet you're dying for a rest, but just in case you're not, I was wondering if you might be interested in taking on another job. It just so happens I've had a request from our sister guild in Gridania, you see. Seems the forest folk are in need of a venturer who can get things done. For them to ask for help like this, you bet the task won't be no skip to a sunny glade. But after the way you dealt with our fishback infestation, I doubt it's anything you can't handle. Give us a shout when you're ready, and I'll lay it out for you. Party Finder allows finding parties. That is, outside of duties and dungeons and the like, mainly for creating a party in the open world like this. Or, for more challenging content, posting a notice on the Party Finder will attract like-minded people. Ready to hear about that job, then? Like I said, the request comes from our sister guild in Gridania. And that's all I know. But whatever it is you get asked to do, I somehow doubt it pose any trouble for a venturer as survived as the bedlam in Sestasha. If you think you might be interested, you'll want to have words with Mother Mion, me counterpart in Gridania. Good luck, lass. Before we move on, what kind of quest do you have? We all know how it feels to have had one too many. That's why I'll not fault our patrons for much of what goes on at our tables. But is it too much to ask that they keep their belongings on their person when they leave? It wouldn't bother me so much if half of them didn't show up a week later, ranting and raving as if their drunken heedlessness were somehow my fault. Take this impressive-looking journal right here. As oft-used as it seems to be, I have no doubt its owner is tearing up the town, searching for his prized possession. A stranger he was, a swarthy Rogadin who enjoyed his drink. Seemed to be getting on well with one of our regulars, Quentinane. Perhaps you could still catch up with him and spare me the headache. I'd offer you a free drink, but last time I did that, Batterin docked my wages. What is this quest? Have I seen who? Look, just because I spend more nights at the wench than in me own home, doesn't mean I'm mates with every sod who comes stumbling through the doors. Wait a minute, that bloody book. Why didn't you say so sooner? The tight-arse bastard drained 20 flagons and promptly passed out, leaving yours truly to foot the bill. Said he was heading for Aleport, where else, the scurvy sop. I'm mere willin', he's still stranded at the ferry docks, though the gods know it won't help me get killed back. If you're looking for the owner of that bloody book, like as not you'll find him at the ferry docks. That or passed out in a gutter somewhere along the way, choking on his own vomit. Would serve him right if you ask me. And this quest, I believe I know what it unlocks. You're either a brave woman or a fool, friend, to be wandering the streets of Limsa today. What was the slasher of Fisherman's Bottom on the loose? You've not heard? There's a madman about. White said he brandished his blade so long and sharp that they could gut a whale. No one's seen any blood yet, but that hasn't stopped the rumors from sending shivers up spines in every alehouse in town. That you're still standing before me tells me you don't scare as easily as the rest. Perhaps you could assist with the investigation. To start with, you might want to look into that scream I just heard outside. Why will no one listen? My blades. I must have my blades. What are you waiting for? That's him, the slasher. Apprehend him, toss him in the jail, and throw away the key. Or gut him and feed his lifeless body to the sharks for all I care. Just do something. Whoa, woe is me. Whatever did I do to deserve this cruel fate? For 6 moons I saved every last gill of my husband's hard-earned wage, foregoing new shoes and new purse, and sometimes even food for our children, all in anticipation of this day. What's so special about today, you ask? Why, this day marks the arrival of a world-renowned aesthetician in Limsa. My endless patience and self-control were to be rewarded with a hair-raising transformation that would have every fashion-conscious Laminsan oohing and awing in admiration. Instead, I found myself accosted by this lecherous lout. Speaking of which, weren't you going to do something about this? Go ahead, have your way with him. I doubt he has anything to say for himself. Just a moment, flustered man. Takes me a moment every time. Oh, the ignominy of it all. Of course you take her side. For shame, is there not one sympathetic ear in this entire nation? An artiste of my renown should be welcomed with open arms, and a 21 cannon salute. Instead I am branded a criminal, the tools of my trade, nay, the extensions of my very soul, ripped unceremoniously from my person, like barnacles from the side of a frigate. I will not last long in my weakened state. No, even as we speak, the world around me grows dim. With my dying breath I speak unto you 3 names. 3 kind souls who may yet put right what has gone so frightfully wrong. Forge Master Hananza of Naldecan Vimelis, Guildmaster Beaton of the Grandanian Carpenters Guild, and Severian at the Alchemist Guild in Ul'dah. If there is an ounce of compassion in you, seek them out, and tell them John Delane sent you. When my soul is restored and my name rightfully cleared, all of Limsa, nay, the entire realm, will sing your praises. For I, John Delane, am none other than the S. He's dying. We'll see what we can do to help him out, but I think that'll take us all over the place. We'll probably wrap up that quest as we naturally progress through the other city-states. For now, we'll finish up this one quest here in Limsa. That is not the Aetherite. Although we can pick up one here. John Delane sent you? Let me guess, the barmy fool's lost his tools. Pardon me, the appendages of his very soul. Again, and is thrashing and tossing like the end of his days is nigh. The man brings it on himself. If he toned down the theatrics and went about his work like an earnest craftsman, I dare say he'd save himself these misunderstandings. No, I've not a whit of sympathy for the fool. You, however, have my pity. Indeed, for having to play audience to his whinging. Any road, this should shut him up for a while. Tell him that if he loses these, I'll graft the next pair to his bloody hands. If you have business with me, be quick about it. My fairy and my next great adventure await. My journal? Why, I thought I'd lost it forever. Pardon my rudeness, friend. Perhaps I should have stopped after 19 flagons, haha. Did you steal a glance at its pages, perchance? No? A shame, that. For this book contains, how might I say it, a record of my numerous adventures. Quite the inspiring read, if I do say so myself. Which I believe I just did. You've the air of an adventurer about you, if one still untested. But take heart. Even the most accomplished adventurer, and I speak from personal experience, was once a whelp with more dreams than sense. Were there only some way for me to repay your... But of course, I have a fresh journal right here that might as well have your name on it. Why not keep a record of your own, that one day we might regale each other with stories of our deeds? And with that, I shall be off, for adventure and a flagon or 20 of the realm's finest ale. For adventure and a flagon or 20 of the realm's finest ale calls me. Fare you well on your journey, and next time you find yourself at the wench, do thank that Ellison fellow for his generosity. I see, this unlocks the challenge log. The challenge log is somewhat good for getting a fine sum of experience or other items that you're looking for. I believe my main use for it was upgrading the chocobo, getting experience for that through the challenge log here. But since we don't have a chocobo yet, I don't think we'll be interacting with the challenge log in any meaningful way quite yet. Thunder 2 is the AoE version of Thunder, and will be cast under the same conditions as the normal single target Thunder. I suppose with that out of the way, we can probably stop here for a quick break.